At the company's IPO launch party, my wife gave her male executive assistant a certain look. I turned and walked out. Then I sold the downtown penthouse I'd bought in full before we were married. I also had my lawyer draft the divorce agreement. When Chloe received the email, she called me, her voice tight with anger. Are you kidding me? Just because I glanced at Leo Price? Yes, that's exactly why. On the screen, the live stream of the launch party was still going. Chloe, smiling, took the microphone from Leo's hand and seamlessly continued his opening remarks. I owe so much to my assistant. For the last 10 years, every single project, big or small, has passed through his hands. He's worked tirelessly, and I've seen it all. So, with everyone here today, I want to take this opportunity to announce that I am transferring 20% of my personal shares to Leo. From this day forward, we are not just colleagues, but partners. I hope he continues to achieve great things. The room erupted. A moment of stunned silence was followed by thunderous applause. Leo was openly weeping at the flood of congratulations, and Chloe smiled as she handed him a tissue. It was just a single glance, but the look in Chloe's eyes confirmed it for me. This woman no longer belonged to me. With a few sentences, she had erased 10 years of my life. She had placed the credit for my work onto another man's head. She was the one who was disloyal first, which freed me from the burden of my own obligation. I pulled out my phone and listed the penthouse I had paid for in cash before our marriage. Next, I dialed a number I knew by heart. Is that offer you made me still on the table? I'm in. One condition. I need complete control of the company. 50% equity. The person on the other end agreed instantly, their tone playful. Ethan, you've finally seen the light? The equity is no problem. To get a titan like you on my team, I'd walk through fire. But I'm curious. You refused to work with me for a decade. What made you change your mind today? Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to. You talk too much. I took an Uber home. Chloe and I walked through the door at almost the same time. Her eyes fell on the dress she'd worn yesterday, still crumpled on the sofa. Her brow furrowed. Why didn't you do the laundry? She turned to the dining table, and her expression darkened further. And you didn't cook? Are you not feeling well today? I ignored her, my head down, scrolling through my phone. A simple shake of my head was my only response. Chloe casually handed me a small gift box, her tone shifting to a crisp command. Well, make dinner now, and make an extra portion. I'm bringing it to the office. The launch party just ended, and we have to work late. Leo's with me. Can't let the staff work on an empty stomach. Before, she never had to ask. I would have handled all the chores automatically. By day, I was the marketing director, fighting alongside her in the corporate trenches. By night, I was the house husband, cooking, cleaning, and catering to her every whim. 10 years of this. But now, it all felt utterly pointless. After she spoke, I just let out a cold laugh, not moving an inch. Sorry, can't do it. Besides, didn't your friend outside feed you enough? Chloe's briefly calm expression clouded over instantly. What the hell are you talking about? I've been working all day. Do I have to come home to your attitude, too? Do I owe you something? I know it's our anniversary. I even brought you a gift. Can you stop with the passive-aggressive act? When are you ever going to try and understand what I'm going through? My eyes landed on the box. I reached out and opened it. Inside lay a pair of small, cheap-looking cufflinks. Just then, a targeted ad for the brand popped up on my phone. This little trinket was a freebie that came with a custom suit gift box for Valentine's Day. Fucking incredible. I laughed and pushed the box aside. Chloe looked uneasy, trying to defend herself. I know you're not usually into fancy things, but I searched every major brand to find these. Stop acting childish. I paid her no mind. An alarm on my phone went off, and I started taking a handful of pills. Chloe's face paled, and she quickly snatched the bottle away. What are you doing? We're trying to get pregnant. You know you can't take unapproved medication. She remembered we were trying for a baby, but she'd completely forgotten that 3 years ago, I had pushed my body to its absolute limit to secure the funding that saved our company. I worked myself into a state of severe exhaustion, causing one of my kidneys to begin failing. I needed to take medication regularly just to maintain its function. Seeing my expression, Chloe softened her tone for once, tossing the cufflinks aside. Fine, fine. If you don't like them, throw them away. I'll buy you something else, okay? Before she could finish, I placed the printed divorce agreement on the table. The papers are ready. Sign them when you have a minute. Also, I don't have time to wait on your assistant. Since you're so fond of him, why don't you just hire him a personal chef? Chloe was a busy woman. I couldn't trouble her with something as trivial as drafting an agreement. But when she heard my words, her face fell, and she shot up from her seat. Divorce? Are you joking? All because I looked at Leo at the launch party. He's just my assistant. You were the one who hired him in the first place. If something was going to happen between us, it will have happened long before now. Can you stop being so dramatic? Her gaze fell on the pill bottle beside me, but she didn't look closely, just offered a perfunctory comment. I know you haven't been feeling well lately, and you're emotional. I've been trying my best to take care of you, but don't push it. Since I was leaving anyway, I didn't bother arguing. I looked up at her and nodded calmly. Yes, it's because you looked at him. Is that not reason enough? Chloe, before we got married, I told you I have zero tolerance for betrayal. You've changed. There's no reason for us to continue. Chloe's brow tightened, her anger about to explode. I spoke again. And to hell with trying for a baby. I'm not having a child with you, and I won't be fighting your precious Leo for any shares. Sign the papers when you have time. Mail them to me. The address is on there. With that, I turned and walked away, ignoring her frozen figure. Behind me, her voice tore through the air. Ethan Hayes, if you walk out that door today, you'll never set foot in it again. A cold smile touched my lips. She had used that threat to control me for 10 years. I always backed down, always apologized. In return, I got no understanding, only her pushing her boundaries further and further. She thought I would turn around and beg for forgiveness, like I always did. But as her words faded, my pace only quickened. Never coming back? That was exactly what I wanted. Getting divorced over a single "look, your wife gives her assistant" sounds insane. But only I knew how much unresolved emotion was packed into that one glance. It was once a secret between Chloe and me. When I first met her, her life was a wreck. Bullied by classmates, berated by teachers. I was a new transfer student. I didn't know the whole story. A classmate warned me to stay away from her, saying she was the daughter of a homewrecker, a born seductress, trash. Chloe never defended herself, but the look she gave me held a kind of helpless hope. When it was time to change seats, the entire class ostracized her. No one wanted to be her desk partner. They moved her desk next to the garbage can. I stood up and said I wanted to sit with her. She noticed me deliberately try to get closer, but her low self-esteem kept her from thinking too much of it. She would retreat, and I would advance. I was curious because I could tell from her eyes that she wasn't the person her classmates described. But why didn't she fight back? So I followed her home, wanted to find out. It turned out her father had locked her in her room. I showed up with her homework, only to walk into a massive fight between her parents. Her mother was the original wife. Her father had drained her mother's dowry and tricked her out of all her money. Now he wanted a divorce, leaving her with nothing. To force her hand, her father paraded his mistress around town while branding Chloe's mother with the homewrecker label. The mistress lived in the apartment below them. Every time Chloe passed by, she would give the woman a long, deep look. And every time she did, she would get a beating when she got home. Later, one rainy night, her mother ran out in slippers to buy her medicine and was killed by a truck. Her father was thrilled. He stayed out all night and brought the mistress home the very next day. Strangely, the mistress died not long after. Knowing all this, my sympathy for Chloe grew. I didn't know then that love built on pity only earns you gratitude, not love in return. On Chloe's 18th birthday, I went to her house with a cake. I found her father, reeking of alcohol and holding a knife, backing her into a corner in her bedroom. Without thinking, I grabbed Chloe and ran. Her father chased us into an alley with a kitchen knife. Just as the blade was about to come down on Chloe's head, I shielded her. The police and an ambulance arrived at the same time. My shoulder was shattered, the bone exposed. But I was still happy. I smiled at her and said, "Chloe, you're safe now." After saying that, I passed out. She stayed by my side all night. When I woke up, we naturally got together. With tears in her eyes, she traced the gauze on my shoulder. The look she gave me then was identical to the one she gave Leo today. One look was all it took to know her heart had moved on. The memories blurred. Her eyes no longer held me. I went back to the condo I lived in before the marriage and rested for 3 days. Not a single message from Chloe. The company group chat, however, buzzed with gossip. Leo Price is a company shareholder now. Talk about a glow-up. Are he and Ms. Sutton about to make things official? Isn't it obvious? Haven't you seen how often she calls him into her office? A man and a woman, alone. What else could they be doing? Don't call him Mr. Price anymore, you idiot. It's boss now. You want to get fired? What about Mr. Hayes? I thought he had a thing for Ms. Sutton. Get real. Who doesn't prefer someone younger and fresher? What kind of a competitive edge does Ethan Hayes have? When we decided to keep our marriage a secret, Chloe said she didn't want to be the subject of office gossip. Looking back now, it was just a convenient way to keep her options open. On the 4th day, I went to the office as usual and submitted my resignation to HR. She looked at me, stunned. "Mr. Hayes, you're resigning?" "Does Ms. Sutton know?" "I can't approve this. Everyone knows you're one of the company's founders. If you leave, it's like cutting off one of Ms. Sutton's arms." Just then, a colleague's scornful voice came from outside the office. Why can't she approve it? He's probably just too ashamed to stay. After all, every project he touched only got signed after being handed over to Leo. If I were him, I'd have packed my bags and left ages ago. Leo's latest deal is what took this company public. Could Ethan Hayes ever do that? Calling him useless is a compliment. The projects they were talking about were the ones I had pulled all-nighters for weeks to develop. But at the final moment, Chloe would always hand them over to Leo. Suppressing a wave of bitterness, I smiled and looked up. You're right. That's why I'm leaving. Please, get out of my way. I hope the company thrives under Leo's leadership. With him in charge, I'm sure everyone's salaries will skyrocket. Who the hell do you think you're talking to with that sarcastic crap? I've been sick of you for a long time. You're just a manager. You think you own the place? One of the colleagues fumed, looking like he was about to lunge at me. Someone next to him held him back. Come on, don't waste your time on this guy. Can't do his job, can't hold onto his woman. An old bachelor like him is going to have a rough life. Ignoring their reactions, I took my resignation letter and got on the elevator. As the doors slowly closed, my strength gave out. I crouched down, clutching my lower back. 10 seconds later, I stood up again, my usual decisive demeanor restored. I walked straight into Chloe's office. Leo was lounging on her sofa, playing on his phone. Mr. Hayes? No, Ethan, man, what are you doing here? As her executive assistant, Leo was the only person in the company who knew my true status. Chloe's explanation was that it made it easier for him to coordinate our work. But after 10 years, I hadn't seen any professional convenience. It had, however, made it convenient for him to provoke me. When Chloe saw me enter, her face instantly turned to ice. Don't you know how to knock? Can't you see I'm busy? Get out and knock again. Leo dropped his phone and rushed over to smooth things over. Chloe, don't be angry. Ethan didn't mean it. He was just in a hurry. Besides, your family. If you make him go out and come back in, what will the employees think? I shot him a cold glance. When did you get a say in here? The expression on Leo's face froze, and tears welled up in his eyes. Jesus, where does a guy get so many tears? I didn't even make a sound when I was stabbed. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have made you angry, Ethan. I'll leave right now. He had barely taken 2 steps when Chloe grabbed his wrist. Stay right there. He doesn't get to call the shots in my office. You're going to stand right here today, and we'll see who dares to make you leave. She looked up at me, her eyes defiant. What? You realize you were wrong. You're here to beg me now? Too late. I clenched the paper in my hand. Sorry. I'm here for the signed divorce agreement. The last shred of my pride kept me from showing any vulnerability in front of Leo. But Leo's face changed. He walked up to me quickly and patted my shoulder. Man, don't be rash. Are you doing this because of me? What did I do wrong? I can apologize to you. If it comes down to it, I can resign and leave. Please don't fight because of me. Chloe's patience had reached its limit, her voice simmering with rage. Ethan, I told you, there's nothing going on between Leo and me. Believe it or not, I don't care. You want a divorce? Fine. Just don't regret it. And before you go, transfer all the projects under your name to Leo and return your bonuses to the company. Then you can go wherever the hell you want. I won't stop you. My eyes turned red as I stared at her in disbelief. I poured countless sleepless nights into those projects. On what grounds can you just give them to him? Chloe didn't even look at me, turning away in frustration. Leo saw his chance and threw himself against the corner of the desk. Blood immediately trickled from his forehead, and his face went pale. Ethan, I already said I was sorry. I don't want the projects. I don't want anything, okay? I'll leave. I'll quit the company right now. Just don't make things hard for Chloe. Before I could react, Chloe had already pulled him back. She glared at me and slapped me hard across the face. Ethan, Leo has already apologized. Are you ever going to let it go? Has my tolerance over the years made you forget your place? Fine, you want a divorce? I'll sign it right now. The resignation letter in my hand floated down onto the desk, landing on top of the divorce agreement. Without a second glance, Chloe swiftly signed her name 3 times. She left me with nothing but the image of her back as she helped Leo out of the room. A breeze blew past, and I wiped the tears from my face. I went downstairs, hailed an Uber, and headed straight for the airport. At the hospital, after Chloe had Leo's wound treated, an inexplicable restlessness settled over her. Thinking about the project Ethan had worked on tirelessly for half a year, she forced herself to calm down. She knew the project was the most important thing to him, so she had deliberately threatened to change the lead, certain he would never agree. It would have been the perfect excuse to refuse the divorce. But in her anger, she had signed the papers. After a long moment, Chloe tentatively sent me a text. There's an issue with the project. Come by my office later. Let's talk about it in person. A glaring red exclamation mark filled the screen. The next second, a call came in from a subordinate. Ms. Sutton, it's bad. All of our projects have been poached. The other party is using our exact proposal. They even know our bottom line price. Standing in the hospital hallway, Chloe's breathing stopped. When she processed what she'd heard, her voice rose to an uncontrolled shout. What did you say? Project bids are confidential. How could an outsider possibly know? What am I paying you people for? Wasn't Mr. Hayes in charge of this? Where is he? Go find him. Do I have to handle every little thing myself? Do you think your salaries are for sitting around doing nothing? The subordinate was stunned into silence by her outburst. After a moment, he stammered, Ms. Sutton, Mr. Hayes left right after you did and hasn't been back. And HR said. The sentence was cut short as Chloe barked. Said what? Spit it out. HR said that Mr. Hayes has already resigned and will no longer be handling any company business. She froze on the spot in utter disbelief. What? Resigned? Who approved it? Who let him leave without my signature? But you already signed his resignation letter, Ms. Sutton. The process is complete. The world seemed to pause in that moment. Chloe's eyes widened as the scene in her office flashed before her. The divorce agreement she had signed had 3 places for a signature. A standard agreement, with 2 copies, would never require a 3rd signature. Ethan had tricked her just to get his resignation through. Chloe ran her hands through her hair in frustration and snapped. I get it. I'll contact him. You investigate the rival company. Find out who they are, if we've ever done business with them. And if there's a mole in this company and you don't find them, you can clean out your desk too. She hung up. In 10 years of building her business, she had never felt this panicked. Before, whenever a problem arose, Ethan was always by her side. They could work out a strategy together, and the problem would be solved. But now, Ethan wanted a divorce. She had to fight this battle alone. An overwhelming sense of exhaustion and defeat washed over her. Suddenly, Chloe felt that her 10 years of struggle had lost all meaning. Losing all the projects meant that all her initial investment was gone. If she couldn't salvage these partnerships, the company would face the most severe crisis in its history. She wanted to scream, to lash out, to unleash every emotion bottled inside her. But a passing nurse noticed her state and gave her a cold look. Ma'am, please keep it down. This is a hospital. The nurse pointed to a sign on the wall and walked away. Chloe took a deep breath, her mind replaying the confrontation with Ethan in her office that morning. It was just an argument. Why do you have to get so angry? The company's projects were his creations. He had been involved from the start. Even if they were getting divorced, he was still a part of the company. He should be on her side. At that thought, some of her anxiety subsided. She took out her phone and tentatively sent Ethan another message. Are you home? You don't have to move out right away. You can stay there until you find a new place. After all, half of it is yours. I'm sorry. I was too impulsive this morning. I didn't mean anything by it. Leo is just my assistant. If I favor him too much, I know it could demoralize the staff. The company's in trouble. If you have a moment, please call me back. We need to talk. Her heart was in her throat. Her finger trembled as she hit send. But a second later, a red exclamation mark appeared on the screen. Ethan had blocked her. Her fingers froze over the screen. The blood in Chloe's veins ran cold. It was just a divorce. The company they had built together still existed. They were still business partners. Did Ethan really have to be this ruthless? Chloe's eyes suddenly turned red. She was just about to call him and demand an answer. Just then, the door to the hospital room swung open. Leo entered, holding a hand to his bandaged forehead, a wounded expression on his face. Chloe, I'm fine, really. You don't have to wait for me here. Has Ethan calmed down? I'm so sorry. It's my fault for being so thoughtless and making him angry. Why don't I go and apologize to him? Divorce is a serious thing. He's probably just saying it out of anger. Chloe took a deep breath, forcing herself to stay calm. Our projects have been poached, she said slowly. The other party knows our exact bid. What do you think happened? Leo's smile froze, and a flicker of panic crossed his eyes before he quickly masked it with an expression of outrage. How could that happen? The only people who handled that project were me and Ethan. Could he have? He trailed off, cautiously glancing at Chloe's face. Seeing no reaction, he acted as if he'd misspoken, sticking his tongue out slightly. I didn't mean it like that. Those projects are Ethan's lifeblood. He would never give them to an outsider. Maybe there's some kind of misunderstanding, or maybe Ethan is just trying to get back at you. Why don't I go talk to him and clear things up? I can't let the company suffer because of me. That would be too much to bear. It was the same old routine. On the surface, he was defending me, but in reality, he was subtly pointing all the blame in my direction. This time, however, his performance fell flat. Chloe's expression hardened, her lips pressed into a thin line. After a long moment, she said coldly, I'll get to the bottom of this. You're injured. Go home and rest. You don't need to come into the office for a few days. I'll approve your leave. Her gaze swept over the bandage on Leo's forehead. Chloe turned and pressed the elevator button herself. Her mind was a whirlwind of emotions. She couldn't deny that she had developed a small crush on Leo, but it wasn't enough to threaten her marriage. It wasn't enough to shake her feelings for Ethan. She had sworn at her wedding to never betray Ethan. So when she first realized her feelings for Leo, she had avoided him, pushed the thoughts away, and even felt ashamed. Thankfully, the crush was fleeting, but she never imagined Ethan would notice. Her anger, her outbursts, they were just a way to hide how she really felt. Logically, she still considered Ethan her husband. Leo was just an assistant, a passerby in her life. Compared to his words, she naturally trusted the husband she had spent 10 years with. She needed to find Ethan now and get an answer from him. She got into her car so quickly that she didn't even notice Leo reaching for the door handle behind her. The car was already speeding away. Chloe drove recklessly, speeding all the way home. But the vast apartment was empty of any trace of Ethan. The wall where their wedding portrait used to hang was now bare. Even the small decorative pieces they had painted together when they were dating were gone. It was as if he had never been there. Chloe couldn't believe Ethan would actually choose to leave. Until this moment, she had believed his talk of divorce was just him lashing out in anger. After all, she had never physically cheated on him. With red-rimmed eyes, Chloe searched every corner of the apartment. Their bedroom, the office they shared, the terrace where they used to relax. Everything that belonged to Ethan was gone. Her world, in an instant, seemed to lose all its color, returning to a space of only black, white, and gray. In that moment, Chloe understood with painful clarity, Ethan was truly gone, and the light in her world, the light that was hers, had been completely extinguished. Chloe sank to the floor, defeated. The setting sun stretched her shadow long across the room, every inch of it radiating loneliness. Lost in thought, she spotted a piece of paper left on the table. She picked it up. It read, "Divorce agreement." It was the only thing Ethan had left behind. Her hand dropped limply to her side. Her eyes scanned the empty rooms again and again. The sofa, where she and Ethan used to lie together. The kitchen, where they cooked a meal together on their anniversary. The balcony, where Ethan had planted countless flowers just for her. The memories of their past came flooding back, piece by piece, overwhelming her. The date on the calendar was still set to their 10th anniversary. Underneath, it sat a wrapped gift box. Unopened. It was what Ethan had planned to give her. For the past anniversaries, he would always spend a month preparing her gift. But she had just casually grabbed a pair of cufflinks from Leo's desk. A freebie, not even for sale. In this home, she had never once noticed Ethan's contributions. She had taken everything he gave for granted, enjoying it without a second thought, forgetting that the other half of her partnership was also weathering the storm, never taking a moment to breathe. The image of Ethan sitting at his desk at 3 a.m., working overtime, was still seared into her mind. At the time, she had only blamed him for not working hard enough during the day and leaving everything until the last minute. She forgot that after work, his time was entirely devoted to her, doing her laundry, making her dinner. His schedule was packed to the brim, without a single minute left for himself. Tears escaped her eyes, splashing onto the floorboards. She thought, I regret it. If she could do it all over again, she would never have signed that agreement. She shot to her feet, about to run out the door to find Ethan. But just then her phone rang. Ms. Sutton, we found them. The company that stole our projects is an overseas firm. The owner is Chinese-American, last name Chun. She graduated from the same university as you. Do you know her? Chloe stopped in her tracks, her brow instantly furrowing. Ava Chun. Yes, that's her. Did you two have some kind of falling out? She's never done business in the country before. This is the first time. We don't know where she got our company's internal data. It'll take a little more time to investigate the mole. I'm on it. Chloe mulled over the words falling out. After a moment, she let out a bitter laugh. Ava Chun, of all people, 10 years, and she still hadn't given up. Back in college, Ava had been her roommate and had fallen for Ethan at first sight. At the time, Chloe hadn't confessed her feelings to Ethan yet, and Ava had declared they would compete for him fairly. The challenge lit a fire under Chloe. That same day, she spent her entire month's living expenses on 99 red roses for Ethan. Her public confession in front of the men's dormitory became legendary, and she and Ethan became the campus's model couple. She thought Ava would back off after that, but she was wrong. Chloe caught her at the graduation party, pulling Ethan aside. Ava told him that if Chloe ever did anything to wrong him, she wouldn't mind being his rebound. That comment had made Chloe anxious and sleepless for a month. She only relaxed when she heard Ava's family had arranged for her to go abroad. She never thought that after 10 years, she would be back. Thinking about Ethan's uncharacteristically cold behavior and his determination for a divorce, Chloe immediately called Ava, suppressing her rage. Ethan wants a divorce. Did you put him up to this? Ava, don't you go too far. Haven't you ever heard that you don't mess with a marriage? You're interfering in our lives. 10 years hasn't made you any less shameless, has it? Ava completely ignored her threats, her tone mocking. Is that so? Thanks for the compliment. But haven't you ever heard that the one who isn't loved is the real third wheel? Actually, I should be thanking you for this opportunity. If your heart hadn't strayed, Ethan might never have contacted me. A long, silent pause crackled over the line. Then, Ava's voice dropped low. Chloe, I gave you a chance. You're the one who failed him. You can't blame me now. He deserves the best. And you're not worthy of him. The call disconnected. Night fell. The room was plunged into darkness. Chloe could almost hear her own frantic heartbeat. She couldn't believe Ethan had really abandoned her for Ava. Memories washed over her like a tidal wave, drowning all reason. Chloe stumbled to the refrigerator, pulled out a bottle of wine, and drank it straight down. As the alcohol hit, she instinctively called out Ethan's name. But the hand that used to take the glass from her was no longer there. At dawn, she was jolted awake by a call from a business partner. Ms. Sutton, I'm sorry, but we'll have to partner up some other time. Someone else came in with the same proposal, but their price is 30% lower than yours. I'm sure you understand. Chloe shot up, wide awake. Before she could explain, the line went dead. One after another, calls from other partners came in. The message was always the same. They were canceling the partnership. The only one willing to negotiate offered a condition. The project had to be managed by Ethan Hayes. Then, they might consider continuing. But she couldn't agree, because she had no idea where Ethan was. Overnight, everything had changed. She thought she had at least a week to sort things out, since the project start dates were still a ways off. After 10 consecutive calls, she understood. This was Ava's doing. This was her revenge. After a quick shower, Chloe drove to the office. The moment she walked in, she could hear employees gossiping. The company runs into trouble right after Mr. Hayes leaves. You don't think there's more to it, do you? He's just a freeloader who failed to secure his position. What could he possibly do? It's all a coincidence. Exactly. Once Leo gets back from his leave, he'll get those projects back. He's the real pillar of this company. Who does Ethan Hayes think he is? The world keeps spinning without him. A group of them were huddled in the break room, their words dripping with disdain for Ethan. Chloe listened, her initial annoyance growing into suppressed fury. So this was the caliber of employee she had. No wonder Ethan never had a smile on his face when he came home from work, and he had never once mentioned it to her. When the insults reached a crescendo, Chloe couldn't take it anymore. She pushed the door open and walked in. You want to know what Ethan Hayes is capable of? He's my husband. He is also the sole person responsible for every single project in this company. This company was founded because of him. He built it from the ground up. And even if he's left, it's only temporary. If I hear one more piece of gossip, I will have you permanently escorted out of this building. Her powerful words instantly silenced the room. Every face went pale. The moment Chloe walked away, the break room exploded. Ethan Hayes is the big boss? Then what does that make Leo? Holy crap, a secret marriage? This is better than a soap opera. I badmouthed him before. Ms. Sutton doesn't know, does she? She's not going to fire me, is she? So, does that mean Leo is the other man? And here he was, strutting around like he owned the place. What a fraud. With one sentence, Chloe had decimated Leo's status in the company. The company group chat was flooded with similar sentiments. Chloe didn't care what Leo, who was on leave, thought. Her only mission now was to find Ethan, to get him to come back to her. After a night to cool down, she had thought things through. She and Ethan weren't just husband and wife. Loving him had become a habit. It was this complacency that had extinguished the passion of their early romance. The fault was all hers. If Ethan would just come back, she would do anything to make it up to him. She checked her phone. Still no reply from Ethan. Her calls went unanswered. But Ava's words had at least given her a lead. She had a subordinate start tracing any clues. Meanwhile, she went door to door, pleading with their former partners. She couldn't lose these projects. At the first company, she was stopped by security in the lobby. The excuse was that the boss was out and couldn't meet. By then, managers from 2 different banks had already shown up at Chloe's office, demanding loan repayment within 3 days. At the second partner's office, she was thrown out by an assistant before she could even say a word. When she got back to her car, she found her tires had been slashed. She had to walk to the third company. Just then, the sky opened up in a torrential downpour, soaking her to the bone. As soon as she stepped into the building's lobby, security forced her out, saying she was disheveled and couldn't go up without an appointment. She found her tires had been slashed. She had to walk to the third company. Just then, the sky opened up in a torrential downpour, soaking her to the bone. As soon as she stepped into the building's lobby, security forced her out, saying she was disheveled and couldn't go up without an appointment. By now, all 5 of their partner banks had given Chloe a final ultimatum. She was on the verge of despair, walking aimlessly through the rain. The only good news was a text from her subordinate. They had found Ethan's whereabouts. He had bought an office building and was preparing to open his own company. When Chloe found him, Ethan was in a deep discussion with the head of the construction crew. The focus in his eyes made her heart skip a beat. How long had it been since she had truly looked at her husband? She couldn't remember. The beauty had always been there. She just hadn't been paying attention, so she had failed to see it. Feeling an intense gaze on me, I turned and my eyes met Chloe's. I frowned and picked up my pace, finishing the conversation with the foreman. When I came downstairs, Chloe had been waiting for a long time, but her face showed none of its usual impatience. She handed me a coffee, her voice tinged with a plea. Ethan, it's your favorite, an iced latte. I'm sorry. I was impulsive before. I'm apologizing to you. I hope you can give me a chance to make it up to you. If you just take back the projects you gave to Ava, I'll give you full control of the company. I'll work for you. Ethan, I'm being serious. My expression turned cold. I handed the coffee back to her. I haven't been able to drink anything cold for years. Bad kidneys, and I didn't give those projects away. If you can't manage your own subordinates, Ms. Sutton, maybe you should reflect on your own failings instead of trying to shift the blame onto me. I don't care about your company, because I'm about to have my own. Chloe's humble expression froze. What do you mean? Are you talking about Leo? Remembering Leo's act at the hospital, Chloe quickly tried calling him. Once, twice, no answer. Her face darkened. I didn't have time to get tangled up with her. I turned to leave, but she suddenly grabbed my wrist. Wait, Ethan. Can you just give me a chance to explain? Agreeing to the divorce was a mistake. I never wanted to separate from you. I never cheated on you. You have to believe me. And with all these new expenses and no income, I can. Before she could finish, another hand rested on my shoulder. Ava met Chloe's gaze with a look of pure provocation. The penthouse was bought and paid for by Ethan before the marriage. It's already been sold. What didn't you know, Ms. Sutton? You really are a busy woman, aren't you? So busy you didn't even notice your own assistant betraying you. Luckily, it was me who got the projects. At least this way, the money goes back to Ethan. If some stranger had snatched them, that would have been a real mess. Chloe looked at me, a flash of pain in her eyes. The hand on my wrist slowly fell away. Ethan, how could you do this to me? Her accusation ignited a fire in me. The emotions I had suppressed for so long finally erupted. Shouldn't I be asking you that? I worked my ass off for that company for 10 years. And in one sentence, you gave my shares to Leo. Did you really think I was an idiot? Yes, you never physically cheated on me. But is an emotional affair not still cheating? You call out his name in your sleep, Chloe. Do you have any idea how disgusting that is? I told you before, I can see through your eyes, right into your heart, the way you look at someone you love. You've never been able to hide it from me. The barrage of questions made Chloe's shoulders slump, inch by inch. We stood there in a stalemate for a long time. Just as I was about to walk away, she whispered, I'm sorry. My steps faltered for a second. Then I took Ava's arm and we left together. Once we were in the car, the tension finally drained from my body. I looked at her gratefully. Thanks for playing along back there. The thing with Leo. That was your doing, wasn't it? Ava smiled, raising an eyebrow at me. It was just letting off some steam for you. Feeling any better now? I told you. You never have to suppress how you feel around me. All you have to do is turn around, and you'll see I've been waiting for you all this time. I rolled my eyes again. Your pickup lines are cheesy. They work, don't they? Sunlight streamed through the window, glinting off the wedding ring at the base of my finger. No one can ever know if the choices they make are right or wrong. But in this moment, at least, I was true to myself.